Gorgeous.
Bafangula.
No, but you always want to stay at least
Oh,
a
really?
fist away.
A fist?
Give it a nice
That's what
fisting. Okay. Yeah, what are we going to talk about?
Dude, no clue. It's the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how.
Come here, though. Yeah, he's crazy, see? Who are you?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Are you ready?
So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to another episode. This is going to be a fun episode. I say that with all my episodes because most of them are pretty fun. But this one is more than exciting because I actually have somebody with me in the studio.
That's right.
I've talked about him before on the podcast. He does a lot, but he owns a company called Patch Vibes, which you probably hear me talk about.
Rebranded as Vibes.com.
As Vibes, that's right. Vibesmiami.com is your place to get all the coolest shit from pop culture, Fins related gear. Like, it's the go-to spot. But go to vibesmiami.com. I've known him for 15 years.
Yeah.
Long
Something
time.
like that, yeah.
Big mentor of mine. He's done a lot. His resume, I can't even begin to describe. There's so much stuff. But
I've had a lot of jobs.
That's right. Richie Patterson, ladies and gentlemen.
Damn, you gave me the official Richard.
Yeah, dude, we're very official on this podcast.
I haven't heard that since elementary, but I appreciate that.
I mean, I was going to throw out the middle name too, but I didn't want to get too official. Richard Travis Patterson.
What's up, Tony?
What's up, buddy? Salute, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Bon appetito, bitch. Yeah, but this is fun, man. So we don't know what we're going to talk about. So this is probably going to be a podcast where you might have to fast forward like 5 minutes.
We can call it Shoot the Shit.
Yeah, shoot the shit.
Will your sponsors mind if you say shit?
No.
Oh, man.
But no, I'm glad you're here, man. This is fun.
Yeah, we've been talking about doing it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be in the studio.
Yeah.
Official.
Yeah, it's kind
The
of crazy.
Batman studio.
Yeah, a lot of people when you walk in, you see, it's a lot to take in.
It is.
Because it's a lot of Batman shit.
Also, probably want to give your viewers a heads up. We might get a wife takeover.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping not. I'm hoping they forgot about it by now, because they said they were gonna just storm in. And my studio, to be honest, is barely set up for 2 people.
Yeah.
Because I'm not used to having people in studio.
Right.
Like I mainly do like what you see on camera right now. If you're watching on YouTube, is I set this up just for aesthetics. Like if you're watching YouTube, but like Rich, there might have been another person, my buddy Ben, that came in for like 30 minutes to do something in studio. But yeah, like my cameras, I don't have the setup for it.
But you and the wife do it, right?
Yeah, but that's different. I mean, it's like,
I think what most viewers want to know is, do you and your wife actually take advantage of this setup in a way that maybe could be looked at as like make homemade videos?
like, do we have sex in here?
Yeah, and like do the whole camera thing.
Yeah, like do we? Yeah.
Come on, don't lie to the viewers. Do you take advantage of this whole setup and make a fucking real home movie?
Well, let's put it this way.
You can say you don't.
We don't. No,
okay,
we don't.
you're missing out.
Yeah,
like
we
I
don't.
would totally do that with this setup.
Yeah, for sure. It's a dope setup. Because it could definitely get a lot of angles.
Matter of fact, I'm staying the night. Do you mind, like, just keep it rolling? Me and wifey make a movie. All right.
Yeah, a movie. Yeah, no, it's a good point. I mean, it's a fantastic setup. Well, and I have so many different soundboards and stuff. So like if you're doing really well, for example, like you could do this, you could be like, Richie, great job.
Yes. Dude, I would use that.
Yeah.
I 100% would use that.
For sure. Yeah. And that's my little soundboard. Shout out to Rodecaster Pro.
Yes.
Supplying that
It's
soundboard.
official. It's
Yeah.
official.
But this is cool because to actually have someone in the studio, it's a little bit different than. I mean, dude, what am I on, like 150 something episodes? I've done like 75 of them virtually. It's different, dude.
Well, the one you and I did was awful.
No.
It was prime COVID, like 3 months into
It was
COVID.
prime COVID, yeah.
I think I still had dial-up internet. I mean, it was.
That's true.
It was really grainy.
Like if you watch that on
Yeah.
YouTube or Instagram when I posted it, it was very because I had my setup, but your setup was like
Yeah, no, I don't think you even have it available.
trash. I might have posted it. I think I
You
might,
don't have it
I might
available to watch.
Maybe I posted and took it down.
Well,
immediately.
this is gonna break records. Today we break records.
This is going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. But
What are
we
some
gonna
things?
talk
What are some things that are controversial, and that way we can get some views, right? Like negative stuff
Yeah,
gets views.
yeah, cancel culture.
All right. So we talk about. No, we're not gonna.
But there's a lot of things we could. Well, first let's talk about this episode is brought to you by Castello di Amoroso. The Salud. A great vineyard the wife and I went to in Napa. Now we only buy wine from them. They ship me a case like every, I don't know, trimester or something. They give me like 20-something bottles of wine.
Really?
That's the only way I buy wine.
Did you say trimester?
Yeah.
Who the fuck? Who talks
Trimester.
every trimester? That's not even like.
That's a thing.
That's only a thing for something that's going.
Inaccurate. In fact, my last career that I was at, those clowns at Monster, they did everything. They said everything trimester wise. Like it wasn't a quarter. Like they weren't talking
Yeah.
Q1 or they would label everything T1, T2, T3, T4.
I would love to scum out my last.
Actually,
company.
it wouldn't be T4. It would just be
I
T3.
like how you did that.
Yeah.
I signed an agreement, so therefore I cannot. But I
Yeah.
would love to.
You know, and I signed an agreement as well, but the agreement was not to talk shit. It's a great company
Yeah.
to work for. I had a really good time. And it's not just Monster or really any company, but I feel like a lot of companies, they preach so much family, when you're with us, your family. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Like you're with us forever. Like, and then like, and I'm not going to talk about it because I did a whole podcast about it.
Oh yeah.
But the reason I got let go, there's 15 people that I can name at that company that are still there that have done like, things that no company in the world will allow them to do.
Right.
But because they know people or they've been there for 15 years, like
Sure.
they don't let them go. What I did was like a joke.
Yeah.
And that to me is not family because, if I had which I have a stepbrother, shout out Matt, and a stepsister, but they're not even blood.
Right.
Like they're not half brothers and shit. But I would, if they asked me for money or if they needed help or if they were in prison, they called me, I would bail them out.
Right.
These guys that I worked for, didn't even give me a warning. They were just like, hey, you've been with us for a decade, but
You know that comes down to money, right?
yeah, of course, dude.
Yeah. It's
how it
it's
works.
nothing against you. It's
Well,
everything
yeah.
about money.
And that's what I mean. So don't preach family though.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I'm gonna tell you this.
That's with a lot of companies, no? I would imagine.
100%.
Yeah.
When I had my own thing, when we were working together,
Mm-hmm.
I was with them for 10 years.
Right.
And then I worked for, we got into corporate America and worked for Groupon for almost 8 years.
Wow.
In the last few stunts I've had prior to my current employer, didn't end the way that I wanted them to end. And someone said something to me that kind of registered, which was, just remember when they cut your check, right? So when you receive your payroll or
Right.
you receive your direct deposit, they don't owe you anything and you don't owe them anything. Like if you look at it, like every time I get paid,
Right.
they paid me for my work, right? And I worked for my paycheck, and at that point I don't owe them anything. So it's almost like a bi-weekly agreement.
That makes sense.
And it doesn't, if you're someone that goes into your career or goes into a job and treats it like a career and you invest everything into it, but you expect it to be, a long-term thing,
Right.
it's just not like that anymore. Like our dads don't work at Chrysler for 40 years or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
especially
That
if you're in your technology.
That's right. It is weird how like over the years, I don't know. See, this is I always kind of blame it on like technology and all that stuff, but it's so weird how just companies as a whole have changed so much. Maybe it's because they know we're expendable because there's so many people. I mean, there's 7 billion people
Right.
on Earth.
Right.
So maybe they're like, they used to look at the managers at Chrysler, they're few and far between. Like, you're never going to find a Richie Patterson that works so hard because X,
Right.
Y, Z. But now it's like you could find a dude that is 25 years old that will get paid 35 grand a year and be a good worker and completely happy. And maybe it's because there's more people, so companies are more, I don't want to say non-empathetic, because I think some companies are, but more often than not,
Yeah.
I think it's because they look at you like a number because they know you're expendable.
It's
you know,
basic. Yeah. I mean, but everything is it's basic business economics,
transaction,
supply and
yeah.
demand, right? So I would argue that it's not even argument today. It's the other way around. The employee has the power I mean, we're living in what they're calling the Great Resignation, meaning people are fuck you, I'm out daily.
Yeah.
Like if a company is not treating them the way they want, they're not offering them growth. The big thing you're hearing from younger people today is like a reason, like a why. Like, why am I here? Like, it's not about the money. It's more about like, what is my purpose with this
Right.
company? So I think more than anything, more than ever, employees have leverage today,
yeah,
right?
now they do for sure.
So I think it's cyclical,
Yeah.
right? It seemed like 3 years ago, 5 years ago, we were expendable.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like that anymore. Like I I heard that if you want to replace someone who has been with your company for a significant amount of time and you've already trained them, there's something in the neighborhood of like you're paying 140% of their salary on your next employee.
Wow.
So financially,
sense.
it doesn't make sense to retain people,
Right.
right? I think that at least in my experience, what companies are now starting to do they weren't doing before was value different skills, like soft skills,
Right.
right? Like
Yeah.
soft skills, like your ability to properly communicate, be a team player, like things that might not show up on a stat sheet,
Right.
but are what holds companies
Yeah.
almost like glue guys, right? Like super important for companies to succeed.
That's right.
Like you have a lot of people like that
Yeah.
obviously have the soft skills, like someone you want to hang a beer, have
Yeah,
a beer
yeah.
with, someone that like,
Yeah, it's almost like to boil it down, it's almost like companies should be, and I think more are getting more impressed with the fact of street smarts versus resumes.
just get shit
I mean,
done.
You do.
Right?
You get shit done. You know what to do. You know what to expect. You know how to communicate with people. Like, it's that rugged, like, street smart attitude that I think is more beneficial, which is why colleges are hurting and not universities are hurting so much.
Right.
People just don't want to go to school because they're not getting taught, how to save money, how to buy a house, how to pay a mortgage, like,
Yeah.
401ks. They're not teaching any of that at school. They're teaching fucking mathematics that you're never going to use.
Yeah.
So companies are starting to understand a little bit more about communication skills are more important, especially nowadays it's all social media. It's all, even though you're not face-to-face interacting with people, there's a certain like quality you have to have, even if it's commenting on a post on social media. Like, you have to be able to articulate words and you have to communicate with people the right way and feed off their energy. And like, there's a lot of benefits that come from working your ass off and getting experience.
Sure.
Versus like just going to school and going by the book, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And companies finally, I think, are starting to do. But what do you think changed? I mean, the past 5 years, not a lot's changed from like a social media standpoint. Companies aren't really different. There's been a vast majority of companies are getting more into technology and stuff. But like, I don't know. I feel like those companies now are looking at people a little bit more differently, where you don't need experience at school. If you have work experience, it's great. But if you're 20 years old, and you're right, like, how are you going to get the experience?
Yeah. I mean, right now it's really industry specific, right?
Right.
So, most of my experience is in technology. So when we see like recruiters, right, like they're looking for specifically someone that has experience in e-commerce,
Right.
experience in logistics, experience in shipping, experience in technology, right? Like those people are valuable, right? Like, and so I think it fluctuates, right? Like, for example, when 4 years ago, 5 years ago, an engineer was an engineer, right? Like now you have sales engineers, and these are guys that are smarter than you and me, right? They understand the whole technology piece. They understand the back-end integrations of software, but they can also sell.
Huge.
Right? Like,
Huge.
I mean, I don't know. I just think that like everything is changing because what's happening is the demands are changing, right? So like younger people are figuring this out. You know, like if I was to go back to school, I would definitely look at sales engineer, right?
Oh, for sure.
Because they cover, you know, two pieces of an important industry, which is the technology piece,
Yeah.
right? So I think it just depends on what you want to do. Like,
Yeah. And
you're an entrepreneur by heart,
Right.
so you know guys that are entrepreneurs typically, I would say, are challenged in sometimes in corporate environments.
right.
If you don't have a corporate environment that wants to let you
Yeah.
take that entrepreneurship mentality and be able to like get shit
Go
done.
with it. Yeah.
Like I landed recently in a place where they allow it. You know what I'm saying? Like they give you enough resources, and one of their like their mantras is creative problem solver.
Oh,
Like that's
cool.
what they want is a creative problem solver. So if you're someone that's what you're good at,
Right.
they're gonna give you the resources and let you do it.
Super rare.
Right. I think it was Gary Vee that says like the biggest challenge for companies is when they hire talented people, is for them to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Like you hire talented
For real.
people, you pay them a significant
Delegation.
amount of money,
Yeah.
right? And then you want to micromanage them or not let them do what the whole reason that you brought them in for.
That's right. He also says something really great that has always stuck with me over the years where, you know, as an entrepreneur, as a manager or whatever, and I feel like a lot of companies don't do this, but it's all about, you know, Brenda in particular with her job, is you got to have a little more empathy
Yeah.
with your employees. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think, and I think that's when companies do preach that family. Oh, when you're here, your family will take care of you. They forget that, you know, if you don't hit your sales quota, that you might have other shit going on.
Right.
Like you might be dealing with trying to have a kid, or maybe have too many kids, or maybe can't pay your mortgage, or, you know, a family member just died, or there's a lot of moving parts that are involved. So instead of asking them, hey, why didn't you hit your quota? You should be asking, is everything okay?
Yeah, right.
You know?
100%.
Like, and
Dude, I
there's
had
not
a
a
sales
lot of companies
manager
that
tell
do
me
that.
that the other day that that's how he treats it. Yeah, I mean, look, I think what's happening is because the employees are now getting some of that, you know, control back,
Mm-hmm.
companies are having, you know, they have to shift to this.
To adjust, yeah.
So, for example, you know, we live in a remote world. Zoom, you know, I was telling you this morning, like I'm literally on 40 Zoom meetings a week. Like I'm not even kidding, like not exaggerating. 30 for sure, but 40 on a lot of weeks.
Yeah.
And we came up with something that was like, a lot of employees were like, hey man, like I can't be on another, you know, in-house meeting, right? Like I'll meet with clients, but I
Right.
can't, there's too many. We have to do something. They scaled it down and they call Meetingless Friday, where unless it's a client meeting, most people are not supposed to like actually book a one-on-one or book a meeting for you.
That's kind of legit.
And because they're protecting your mental health.
For sure.
And they what they did is they surveyed the employees. The employees said, hey, this is too much, right? And so instead of just, you know, going old school and doing it the way that you've always done or the way that other companies are doing it, they're listening to their employees.
That's right.
They don't want to lose talent. They say the talent they have is stressed out and it's starting to affect their mental health, which is ultimately affecting their performance. And they listen, and then look what's happening now. They have like this Meetingless Friday. Now, I would say it's in theory easier to accomplish,
Yeah.
because you know people still want to book with you, and
Of course.
but it creates the culture that at least feels like they're protecting you.
That's right. Well, and not only are you going to get people that are going to be more productive because they like going to work, but now they're going to stick it out with you. You know, I think now more than ever we're in a world where, I mean, not for nothing, but you can make $1 million on TikTok.
Right.
You got to have a talent. You got to have a skill. It's a lot of work. It's not like you could just wake up one day and be a TikTok star. But there's so much like, is the grass greener on the other side?
Right.
That if you're an entrepreneur and you're a manager and owner, you got to make sure your employees are happy.
Yeah.
And if that means kind of doing what they want to appease them, not that you're going off script, but you got to do things that are going to be better for them in the long run because they'll stick with you longer. Because if not, they'll jump ship really, really quick if they're not unhappy. And unfortunately, kids nowadays, and I say kids, 20, 30 years old,
Yeah.
if you're in a job, if they're not happy within like 6 months or 18 months,
Yeah.
they're out. They'll find another job because there's a lot of jobs out there.
100%.
And you got to make sure you're doing the best bet. Like where our parents grew up, like, you know, rolling up the sleeves, getting dirty, working hard, that still applies. But there's so many other jobs out there where you can work from home, get paid 6 figures.
Right.
And the company's making a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
You're making money. And you're at home in your PJs with a quality of life and your mental health is there.
Right.
And with that mental health there, now your relationship's better. Now you can treat your kids better.
Yeah.
Now your animals are happier because they're with you 24/7. They're not locked in crates. Like there's so many benefits to so many different companies, and if companies aren't adapting to it,
Yeah.
I mean they're gonna lose a lot of money and a lot of good people that way.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely I guess an argument about or a difference of opinion on whether culture inside offices, right, or remote work is better. But I would tell you, there's no question from someone that has done both and done both recently that I'm getting more things done from my house
Crazy.
than I can do driving to an office every day.
So true.
Right? Like it's incredible.
Yeah.
It really is. And I never thought we'd get to that place.
Nuts.
And I'm not
By the way, in a short amount of time.
right.
Like 5 years.
Well, it's COVID.
Yeah.
COVID, and then all of a sudden everybody's, companies
Remote
had to
work.
do it, and then they figured out it's actually working to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, you and I've talked about this before. I think that when you look at companies, there's someone that's a leader of the company, right? Like there's a CEO, there's a CRO, there's a C-levels executive, and the question becomes, do they give a shit about you? And whether they do or don't give a shit about you, you know it. And so I think that in reality, people don't, we've said this before, people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care.
Yeah.
Right?
One of my favorite sayings, yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the thing is, like, with me at least, I worked for 3 or 4 companies in the past 3 years, 4 years. And now I feel it. Like, I feel the company's got my back, and it makes me want to pour everything into it.
That's right.
Right? Like, I'm treating it like it's my business.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. Yeah, and there's definitely something to be said about that for sure. And, I will say this, though, because maybe someone's dealing with this, but, a couple companies that I worked for before, I spewed like 24/7. Like
Right.
I was, to some people, I was like the poster child for the company.
Right.
And something like that. And then you end up getting kicked in the mouth. And I think the important thing, though, here is you don't change who you are. Because that's just who I am. Like, I just pour
Right.
sweat. Because I'm the type of person, same thing with a relationship, right? Like, I've said this before when Brendan was on the podcast, where, like, Brendan and I met at a very interesting time because I was, like, going on Tinder, cleaning the house, by the way, was fantastic. And Brenda was she got out of a relationship. She wasn't looking to date anybody. And we ended up finding each other. And, obviously the rest is history. But it's so interesting that we weren't really looking for it. But I've had so many toxic relationships in the past. We all have.
Right.
That I wasn't ready to get in a relationship. But I go into every relationship to give it my all.
Right.
Same thing with a job. Because if you don't, then it's a disservice to your partner.
Right.
And I think a lot of it has to do with other jobs too. So, like, if you're out there and you're not having a good experience with the job and you end up leaving and finding another job,
Right.
you can't have a sour taste in your mouth with other companies.
Right.
You either give it your all or you don't. Like, there's only 2 types of people, in my opinion. There's either someone that gives it their all and works their ass off, or, unfortunately, we're running into this a lot now, where kids have like an attention span of 10 seconds.
Right.
And they can't hold a fucking job for the life of them.
Right.
Or they want to have a job where they're not working a lot. But unfortunately, to innovate and to grow and to make money in this company, you gotta work your ass off to make money in this world.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a character thing, right?
That's right.
Like, and
You can't really teach that, right? I mean, it's
you can't. But I also understand people that don't want to invest into people that don't invest into them, right? I think there was a guy that he had a credit card processing company. I don't know. He became kind of famous on social media, but he raised everyone's salary to like $75,000, like everyone that worked for him. And supposedly, like, the performance was through the roof, and they were breaking records. And like, I think that it just depends on whether you feel like you're getting your share, right? Like,
That's right.
It's no different than a relationship.
That's
if
right.
your wife all of a sudden decides she doesn't want to do her share,
right.
and you're not feeling
The love.
loved, right? Exactly.
You're probably not going to put it.
Yeah, you're going to
100%.
put less into it. So I
Right.
think with companies, because it's a relationship, it's the same thing.
Yeah, and there's even this one. There's a couple people I know, but one person in particular was like, they hit. It's a sales company, and they do marketing and sales, but they do a lot of inbound, outbound, and they get paid commission and things like that. Also have a salary, but they're like, the company itself has hit records even when COVID hit,
Yeah.
millions of dollars year to date, like crushing numbers. Companies making a fuck ton of money. And every year for the past 2 years, they've been getting cut commissions.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that type, again,
Yeah.
this is where we're talking about to where if you're a manager, you're owner, CEO, where you're like, why are my employees not performing as well?
Right.
Well, it's because your company's making a shit ton of money,
Right.
but you're not having that empathy. You're not treating the employees like,
Yeah.
because without them,
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
look at companies where employees get vested interest, right?
like Publix, good example. All
even
private
if
company.
it's a small piece, right? Like it matters because now you feel a part of something where it's, you have there's a why attached to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear the why all the time now.
Yeah,
Right? It's
yeah.
kind of funny.
Yeah.
But there's a why attached to it. Why? Because you feel like you're building something. You're building, your future, even though you're really just an employee, right? So
Like, have you ever been to a Publix? The reason why shopping is a pleasure at Publix is because every person from
Yeah.
the person that bags the groceries to the fucking manager, everybody has stock in the company.
wait,
Did you know that?
No, grocery baggers?
Every single employee has the option. Let me
Okay,
rephrase,
the option,
has
yeah.
the option to, which if you don't,
Yeah.
you listen right there in your bagger Publix, you're an idiot because it's a private company. So you actually get equity in the company.
Yeah.
So if they ever decide to go public, you're gonna make a shit ton of money.
You remember when Domino's did a thing where it was like, there's something like if you bought a pizza, you'd have an opportunity to like buy into a share or something like that.
I do remember that. Yeah,
I don't
they've
think
always been very good at that.
I didn't
actually.
think it worked.
Yeah.
But it was such a good idea.
Yeah, it was great.
I thought for sure people were gonna
Did you
love
ever
that.
invest? Did you?
No,
do
but
it?
I like.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I like good pizza, but if I'm gonna go,
I'm not doing
not so
Domino's.
great pizza,
Yeah, yeah, it's like-
Domino's all right.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a good hangover pie.
Right.
Right. But that is an interesting idea, right? Like that's the first thing I ask. Because when I thought about doing this franchise, remember I told you I was going to
Yeah.
do Clean Juice. Shout out Clean Juice. And I'll probably eventually do that, but right now the market's so like, eh. And then again, we talk about employees. It's so hard to find someone that's like motivated to work
Yeah.
24/7. And I don't want to open up a company and do a brick and mortar if I got to have 10 people and 5 of them are okay. That's not, what I
The
want to do.
industry matters. That's one thing I'll tell you.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't
If
matter.
if you are owning or managing an industry where the service itself tends to attract people that want. Listen, everybody wants to
Sure.
do less and make more money.
Of course. No
That's
question.
my goal in life. Right?
Yeah, of
Like,
course,
and I'm gonna work my butt off till I can get to that
right.
point. But some people want to start that way, right?
And at 20.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. When I had the spa, remember when I had the spa?
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
So the nail techs were grinders.
Sure.
Like they were gonna make commission every
Do they
pop,
have
right?
visas
Like,
and stuff too?
but no, that's why it was hard to get good talent because I didn't have like a merch house
Of course.
where you had like 20 nail techs living in one house. That would have been the move.
Break even.
Right. But I will tell you the difference between a good nail tech and a facialist in terms of like work ethic. And if you are a facialist and you work hard, I promise you this is not for you.
Right.
But I've had a couple because you realize how to do a facial, right? They put it on
Right.
and they walk away for an hour. And they sit down and they're on their phone and it's like it's just not there.
Right.
So that same person would call in late, reschedule their own facials,
Right.
and wanted to charge more for less. It was just, and listen, that's a hustle.
Sure.
But I think managing people that do facials, I would never do that again.
No.
Like never.
Well, because it's that same thing with a lot of people now where they just want that short term, satisfaction to a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. Like I don't know where we got to this point because I know you're not like this, but I've never been like that. Like, and,
What,
shout out.
expect results right away?
Right.
I mean, it depends though.
But it's not like someone, like, here's my thing. A good example, shout out Brenda. Hopefully she doesn't walk in, but she'll maybe listen to this
We're
program.
expecting the wife
Right.
takeover. That's
Again,
the title
I
of this.
hope they don't.
That's the title of
But we
this
don't want them
episode.
to, though. God. But the whole idea is like the reason she tells me this. She's like, I don't want to work out because I don't get results.
That reminded me of the guy that worked with the work president said, "It's not the no's that bother me. It's the lack of yeses." You know what's funny? I confused that guy with the guy who was a narcoleptic. Even though they're not the same guy. I had a sales guy that worked for me. Long story short, he was narcoleptic. And so it was like, it was outside sales. So he showed up late every day, right? Because he was always sleep late, like oversleep. And then one day, so they had badges. We had company badges, so when they would go out on sales calls, you knew where what company he worked for, you knew his name and everything. So and a phone number was on there, and so we'd have customers call. We'd have customers call in the middle of the day and say, "Hey, you got an employee out here sleeping." I swear to God. Hey, listen, he finally quit. I remember the day he quit. He walked into the office and he said, "Rich, I can't do this anymore." And I'm like, I mean, you're not doing that bad. Like, I was like, he used to get pity sales because he'd be sleeping.
But the times that he was awake, he was doing good.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
And so he came in, he's like, "I can't do this anymore." And he felt bad about it. And he actually moved on. I don't know what he's doing today. But if you're narcoleptic, I love you. I know you're working hard out there. Like, that's not easy.
It's not a doc on you, but goddamn, that dude was a hard worker. But he was, it was funny.
And he wasn't the lack of yeses guy. But
No.
I always get them mixed.
Yeah. Well, the lack of yeses guy was hilarious, but that was like 10 years ago, right? 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's what's crazy is like there's people that don't want to like actually work to make the money. Like, because I even told Brenda, was like, this isn't a bash on Brenda podcast, but when we started Meet Cute, shout out Meet Cute Box. So the fact that we're launching that in July,
Yeah.
it's this membership service. We're both working, so it's a side hustle at nights or weekends. But I told her, I go, listen, I'm only gonna do this. And, when I do things, I go all in. Like, I'm not going to fucking try it on Instagram and see what happens.
Right.
Like, I'm going to fucking get an LLC.
Yep.
I'm going to fucking get a P.O. box. Like, I'm going to get, like, look, you see that? What's that over there? Below the monitor.
That's an iPad?
Close. To the right of it.
An old school phone?
It's
Wait
a
a minute.
cordless landline. Because I bought a landline.
You have a landline?
Because it's for the
Customer
business.
service?
Yeah.
Dude, just have them email you, bro.
No, bro.
All right.
I want a fucking landline. I got
Okay.
an email address.
No, I respect that.
Like, we got a voicemail linked up. It's
Yeah.
when I call you, if I have to call you for a
Yeah.
reason, it'll say fucking Meet Cute.
You know what Wismo is?
No. Is that the internet phone
No.
call where you change your number? What?
You should know this. You're now in e-commerce business.
I don't know what that is.
Customer service. Wismo means
Oh, it's third party.
no. Wismo means, and this is where your phone's gonna be ringing off the hook,
I love it.
unless you have good tracking. Get a company that provides good tracking. Or You're
Okay.
gonna get Wismo.
Okay.
Wismo makes up for 68% of all customer service time.
Really?
And Wismo stands for Where Is My Order?
Really?
So if you don't have good tracking, you're gonna get that phone's gonna be ringing off the hook.
Well, I have great tracking. I use ShipStation. Shout out ShipStation. But
You can't shout out competitors. You can't shout out my
is that
competitors.
your competitor?
Not really.
Not
but
really. I mean, you're like Mecca. Like, I'm not, like, I don't need storage.
Right.
Because we ship everything from here.
That's true.
So, like, your company wouldn't benefit me. Because
Right.
I don't need a warehouse, You're like big boy stuff. I'm like,
We are big boy.
little peon. But the whole idea is I told Brenda, I was like, listen, we're going to do this right, because I don't want to do because that landline cost me the same as if I was to do a Google 800 number.
Right.
Like,
No, I
and
mean,
might as
most
well-
of the time they give me a landline for free.
That's right. And that's what I did.
You act like you invested into it.
No, but it's the
It came
principle-
for free with your
Motherfucker,
on
I spent
internet.
$25 on that fucking.
Oh, the VTech?
No, bro,
that's
just the actual
Panasonic.
base of it. It's the Amazon overnight. It's
What are we talking
The
about?
point is, though,
the-
it's the investment
Into the grind.
into the grind to get the return. And I knew that it wasn't going to be a return right away. And it probably won't be if it takes a year or whatever. But my point is, though, I looked at Brenda and I said, listen, are we going to do this? And she's like, no, I love the idea. I think it's great. I have some great ideas. We could really bring some value to the consumers. And it's different in the marketplace.
Why did you give
I
Brenda
don't know why
a
she
list?
sounds like that.
Brenda
And
does
she
not
sounds
have
really white.
Yeah.
So, okay, no, she doesn't sound like that. I don't know how to do a Brenda impression. But my point is, though, she's
not
like,
it.
I really want to do this. And I go, okay. But, it's not going to be a quick return. So it's not like just because we're going to own our own company that we can go out and fucking buy IKEA furniture and we can
Right.
go hard. Like, it's going to take a year for us to even probably profit. Are you cool with that?
Yeah.
That's what I says to her. And she goes, let's do it. Like, okay. So now she's kind of turned the switch, but it's like something where we had to have the conversation because I think she thinks that if we open up a company, day one, you're going to make money.
Right.
No, it's the opposite. And you might not even make money ever. You might have to shut down.
No, most companies don't make money.
Most companies don't make money.
2 to 3 years.
So, and that's where people think the grass is greener on the other side. So there's twofold, right? Like when you see these folks like a Gary Vee of the world that's preaching entrepreneurship and TikTok, and he's got some really great content. What he forgets though, and I know he talks about it sometimes, but there's 20 and 30-year-olds that live at home that could afford to do that. But if you're 40 years old and you have a kid and you have a family, you have a mortgage, you can't just stop everything you're doing and start a company, right?
No, I mean,
Like,
you can.
I mean, sure you could.
It's a risk.
It's a
right?
risk. It's a high risk, high reward. But you got to be able
No,
to
it's a high risk, most likely not a high reward.
right,
Like,
right. Yeah.
I mean, but you
That's
can.
true.
We live in America.
You could
can
do
get
anything.
a loan for anything.
You could do anything. Yeah. And you
No,
know,
I'm
even-
with you.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it is technology though, because
Right.
technology does give us instant results, right? Like, you ever seen the Louis V stand up where he's like going on a rant out? He's pissed with people that like
Louis CK?
take 2 seconds. Yeah, Louis CK, 2 seconds or 3 seconds, 4 seconds to get service, and he's like, you're walking up and you're like walking around. You walk outside, you're fucking screaming. He's like, hey, it's going to fucking space.
And coming back.
Like, it's,
Give it a minute.
Give it a minute. Hey, but it's true, right?
Yeah,
Like,
this
but
is true.
technology teaches us instant results, right? And here's the other thing. I had a boss that was, I said to him, look, nobody here knows their purpose. They come in, they get a check. That's it, right? They have quotas, they have goals, but nobody knows their purpose. Why don't we create like a growth path where if they hit A, B, and C, right? A, B, and C checkpoints, they get a chance to either get a raise or they grow or move to another position. A lot of times it's not money, it's about growth, right? He says,
The accomplishment of
he
field.
says, I don't get this. You know, guys have been here a year, 2 years, 3 years, and they're bitching that they need a promotion. They want to grow. And I said, I almost said his name. I said, companies are growing so fast and they're literally selling within 2 years. So you go private company and you're going, you know, you have technology companies, they're going public within 2-3 years. In 3 years, this company's being sold.
Right.
You don't think it's important to them that the time that they're there, those 2 years, 3 years, first year, whatever it is, that they have an opportunity to grow?
Yeah.
Right?
right.
Like, it's insane. So as much as I do agree with you, the idea of like, you have to have some type of patience,
Right.
but I also am in the school of get what you want.
Right.
Like, get what you want. If that company's
Well,
not
and
giving
know
it
your
to you,
worth too, right? Like that's the thing. is-
100%.
Yeah, you got to know your worth. And you know, a lot of companies I think are starting to kind of, you know, understand like their
They have
employees
to.
and they have to. But there's also a lot of companies that are out that are just like, they're not really, not just appreciating their employees, but they're not understanding that technology is the key. And you got to be up with the times, and you got to have to retain those employees. Sometimes you have to kind of back up a little bit and, you know, fold under pressure to technology because, I mean, a lot of jobs are getting replaced by technology. And that's not really a bad thing, though. You know, because the way I look at it is like, again, you look at technology. If we didn't have Zoom,
Right.
you would have to commute to work every day.
Right.
It'd be 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back.
Right.
But in that 45 minutes of driving, you're dealing with fucking Miami traffic, douchebags cutting you off. Now you're getting angry at those drivers. Now your quality of life has dropped a little bit because the second you walk into work, now you're pissed. So now your productivity of work,
Yeah.
right, is pissed. So it's like technology might be replacing a lot of jobs, but it's also making a lot of jobs out there better.
Yeah. I mean, listen, everything changes.
Right.
So the idea that technology is taking away jobs.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I work for a technology company where whenever we want to add a new feature, the biggest challenge is we don't have enough engineers. So we're
they're
taking
not up
away
to-
right. It's always manual work versus automation. So when we want automation, in order to get automation, you need more employees, which is ultimately more manual work.
Right.
Right. So I don't know. It's, you know, I think like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's, to me, it's it's going to take care of itself there
Yeah.
when it comes to people losing jobs and all of that. Like
Yeah.
more jobs are opening. You
Yeah,
know, more
exactly.
different jobs are opening.
Here's the trick though, and I was having this argument with someone on Facebook. Not surprisingly, that's because that's what Facebook's for. Apparently, is
Was it a bot?
well, no,
You don't know.
It was this jabroni that I knew like way back in
Right.
the Coke days. Coca-Cola,
Coca-Cola. Thank you.
not like Blanco. But the whole
Perico.
right. But
Mantequilla.
see, but the whole idea was because I posted something about gas prices, and I was like, I don't know how much gas prices are because I have a Tesla.
Oh, but
I wasn't a douchebag about it.
No, your humble bragging is awful.
But you said it though. I find the line.
No,
But some
but
people-
everyone knows what you're doing.
Not everybody. You do, motherfucker.
No,
You're like, there's
everyone-
like 6 people in the
No.
country that know.
A humble brag, if you know, it's borderline douchey. Admit it.
No, well, I would admit it's borderline douchey.
Okay.
But the whole idea is, here's the thing though. So I say, listen, I don't think everyone should have an electric vehicle. This is what I tell. This is my post. I go, I don't think everyone should have an electric vehicle, but I will say it's a little bit better. So I'm always like an objective port, and then there's always some, fucking schmuck that comes up and says, well, we can't eliminate fossil fuels completely because of X, Y, and Z and companies.
Oh yeah.
Same dude that,
Yeah.
this is the guy that when Ford T came out, the Model T, he's like, no, we should stick with horses and we should do this and we should stay with horses because he's probably that type of guy that would say something like that.
Have you seen my guy from Curb Your Enthusiasm, the Bitcoin commercial?
Oh, yes. That's a great example. Larry David. Oh, my God. It's so funny. Yeah, he does that whole, what is it, E-Trade or something?
Just nothing better, dude.
So great. He's so fantastic.
Whoever created that commercial, like
Fantastic commercial.
that guy, whoever that guy or girl is, deserves a raise.
It first premiered at the Super Bowl and it was great.
So good.
It was so good.
You couldn't pick a better person to do it.
Yes, because that is him. But that is a great example of like, I don't know. But that's a great example of, because what was it? He did like the Declaration of Independence or something, and they go, all right, we're going to need everyone to sign. And he goes, do we need everyone to sign though? Maybe I just
Yo, but that's, it's funny. That's me on so many occasions. That's
yeah.
been me with crypto.
Bro.
That's how funny it is.
That is
Are you
80%
in?
of the pot.
Are you
Crypto,
in?
yeah.
Damn, I'm not in it.
I'm in
all,
NFTs, bro. I created my own NFT.
Okay, I saw that and I was like, that's a fucking really good idea.
Yeah.
But have you sold one?
Well, I haven't I haven't put it on Coinbase or anything.
The turtle?
Yeah.
All right, I like
So
it.
I have it. I have 490 images, but I haven't. Yeah,
Really?
because you make, one
Yeah.
images in different
Yeah.
layers every time. It's very
I don't-
difficult to do.
Yeah,
But-
I don't want this to turn into that because I'm literally clueless.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the whole idea, the problem with an NFT is I have 1,000 things going on. An NFT, you have to go on Coinbase or MetaMask or some type of platform that holds Bitcoin, and you have to purchase Ethereum or whatever
right,
it is
in order to purchase.
or
Or sell.
Well, both. And then once you have all that equity, then you would put it on a platform like a Coinbase or something, and you would sell it. But you have to have like some type of investment into Ethereum or some type of crypto. So the only thing I have aside from creating my own NFT, which I plan to launch soon, would be just being in stock. So I have like stuff in Bitcoin and Dogecoin, and I have stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
My question is this, and I think this is probably as far as we should go.
Sure.
Because this is going to get boring.
Yeah.
And if we don't know what we're talking about, it's going to be.
we definitely don't know.
Yeah,
Let's
it's going to be.
disclaimer at the bottom.
Is
we're not
why
experts.
is it that the monkeys, it's all the monkeys that are the most valuable?
First one.
Because it's the first one.
That's the only reason.
So the versions of the monkeys.
That's right.
Okay.
So the whole idea
I
behind,
like how Twitter lets you use your NFT.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could do that on anything, but
Yeah, but Twitter promotes it though. That's the difference.
yeah, I like that.
Twitter promotes.
Speaking of Twitter,
oh yeah, Elon.
what do you think's going to happen with that?
I think they'll fold. I think
So
they'll
would
definitely fold.
so I guess the question would be, because I have Twitter.
Wait, hold on. For anybody that doesn't know, so Twitter or
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk is now, I think, like as of a month ago, owned 38% of shares.
Yeah, he just bought in that
Yeah.
way.
So that's kind of been in the works because he's promoted it for a while and he wanted to do his own platform. But then the CEOs of Twitter were like, all right, dude, why don't you just take some of the shares? He bought a bunch of them. But now it's been like a month and he has zero control of the company with 38 shares, obviously.
Right.
So
He didn't want control, I thought.
at first.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But then now he's realizing, wait a minute, why don't I just buy the company? So then he offered Twitter 41.
Is it 41 or 58 billion?
It's 40 to 50. It's
Okay,
somewhere
okay.
around- But it's $48 billion he offered Twitter. And they haven't said no yet,
Right.
like publicly anyway.
Well, I've
But-
been reading a little bit about it, and supposedly, like, even if they do say no, like, the stock is going to crash, like,
For sure.
in which if it crashes too low, he might be able to purchase. But the reason I'm asking is, obviously, selfishly,
Yeah.
I do have a small amount of stock in Twitter.
Me too.
Should I double down?
I would.
Yeah.
I would.
Because but the thing is, it's going to be high risk, because if it
Right.
does drop because he doesn't buy,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Here's the way
I
look
love
at it.
Twitter, so I you know, there's something called something bias. Like I learned about this very
Like
recently.
social
Like,
bias?
yeah, like you have based on the lens that you see things, you have bias, right? Like
Oh,
natural.
sure. Yeah.
And
like
so
if
like
you have an Apple, you invest in Apple stock. Like that
yeah,
type of
so
thing.
like no, if you think something's really cool,
Sure.
but you're not being like objective.
Objective about it, right?
So I naturally want to buy on Twitter because I like Twitter.
Of course.
But I'm thinking about like this is
Well, I
this
bought-
is a weird time right now because
I,
you could lose everything.
I bought stock in Twitter when it was like, I don't know, $20 a share or something
Yeah.
like that. And I think if Elon does it, it'll crash for sure, which is fine.
If he buys it,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah. Well, here's what I look at it is because
How? Everybody says it's gonna go up.
nah, maybe.
The 58. Oh, the 58 is actually what they think is the stock price going to be, not the billion.
Right. So I'm like, maybe it'll crash, but if you remember, I think the only time Tesla stocks actually crashed was when he went on Rogan's podcast.
Right.
Do you remember that? It
When he was
crashed.
smoking the blunt.
Right.
No,
So-
that's when it crashed.
Yeah, so it crashed like 20 shares, 30
Because
shares.
he smoked a blunt.
Right. Because all the investors that are above 60 years old were like, we got to
It
pull
really
out.
was because of the blunt.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
trying
that
to.
day it crashed, and then it stayed for like 2. But here's my point, though. Same thing with Twitter. If that happens, it'll crash. But that's when you go hard. That's when the guys that are 20, 30, 40 years old invest in Twitter that aren't investing in it right now. Because the
Yeah.
only people invest in Twitter are 45 plus.
Right.
The ones that are like, I don't know if I want to be involved with blunts and, you know, Elon Musk, he's conservative. I don't want to be involved with that. But you want it to crash so that way the old dogs pull out and the new folks come in. Like GameStop. Same thing happened at GameStop and
Yeah.
Robinhood. You remember that?
Yeah.
Same concept. Those are all 30-year-old nerds that have no idea about stocks. That's what you want in the economy is you want it to crash so that these fucking douchebags get out of the market.
Yeah.
And the younger folks can get in. So I hope it does crash. Same thing with real estate. Like, I'm hoping it crashes
Yeah.
so we can fucking
Yeah.
buy houses.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need a cooler in here.
It's a little hot. Well, the wine
No,
doesn't
no,
hurt.
no. I don't mean you need it cooler in terms of temperature.
Oh,
the
I
cooler
need
that
it.
you have in your third living room,
I need it
you
in
need here.
Yeah.
Because I
You
would
know-
love to just reach for a beer. I know you don't have enough gas, but it would be cool if you did. Let's just say that.
You know why I don't have one here? Because I have it in 3 other living rooms. Like I don't,
Humble brag.
and I don't drink beer either.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, I
I'm
have
sure there's some
wine.
vegan juice
I
you
mean, don't
could
be a
have.
douchebag. I have regular wine. Like, I don't have vegan wine. There is vegan wine.
Yeah.
I don't have that. I'm not that bougie. But, yeah.
Where's the ladies when you need them? Totally kidding. Totally kidding.
Well, what are we at right now?
Just kidding.
Is
Love
this
you, baby.
sufficient? I mean, I don't know. What are we at?
Time?
Bro, we're at 50 minutes already.
You're lying.
Swear to God.
Okay, we gotta wrap it up.
Yeah, this
We're
is
gonna
way
get in
too
trouble.
much.
Damn.
This is, and it's like a time warp in here.
All right.
Isn't it?
What do you think about non-compete clauses?
I think they're bullshit.
Me too.
No, you know, let me tell you
Fucking
what.
non-compete.
Yeah, fucking non-compete. You know what I tell you what I don't like? But like in the
Yeah.
beverage game, I was in the beverage game for so long. They have you sign non-competes to where you can't, you know, meet up with or you can't work for a competitor for like 2 years. It's like
Why?
you're
That's
in,
I just don't.
but
Like,
it's like you're in the. That's all you know is you're in the beverage industry.
I don't get it.
Here's what it's to get. This is what I'm talking about earlier.
No, I just don't get how it like actually still is a thing, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
think about it.
It's still a thing. Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, you saw the post that I posted. It was from the Harvard Review that basically said it was like
That was a good post too.
it was like I don't want to say that. It was a form of like enslaving. You know what I mean? Like not allowing someone to be able to work for a living, like in a specific industry. It's insane that we live in. You know, it's 2022.
Right.
I could work for a company that's based in China.
Right.
Like I interviewed through the whole process. I was going to be head of sales for a company that was based in China, meaning they had no office in the United States.
Right.
Like imagine trying to communicate like the time zones, like, you know, everything with a company that was 100% corporate based in China. This happens every day.
Yeah.
It's not even unique. So I can work for a global company across the world, but if it's in the same industry, company A can say you can't work there, and it's legal.
It's legal.
It's literally legal.
Well, and I think a lot of it has
Not
to
literally legal.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
kind of.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
is.
But
It's actually a good time to use literally.
Yeah, literally. But I think a lot of it has to do with, you know, shared secrets.
Right. No, that
That's
is
a
what
big
it
part.
is. But
here's my
who the fuck knows secrets? Like,
Right.
what secrets? What secrets do you know?
Well,
You worked at Monster for how
Right.
many years?
like 8.
Don't tell me the secrets. But what secrets do you know? Do you know how it was formulated, the drink?
I do. But here's the trick.
Is it copyright?
It's all public information.
Exactly.
So what's the point? The point is how we operate in a business and how they go to business and how they motivate managers and how like incentives and all this bullshit that a lot of companies do know, but some companies like a Monster or a Red Bull or something like that, the way they manage their employees is a little bit different. And the reason why Monster and Red Bull and these companies are kicking ass is because a lot of the things they do is correct. And they don't want to share that information whether it's public or not. But the only reason it would be public is if past employees shared it. Here's my argument is usually a clause like a non-compete or something like that is like 2 years. So if I know their secrets,
Is it going to go away in 2 years?
yeah, like I'm still gonna remember it. So it just, to me, it's more of a like, let me put my dick out on the table.
It's
You're
an
gonna
ego
do what
thing.
it's an ego thing. You're gonna do what I fucking say.
Right.
Like this is it. You're gonna listen for the next 2 years. You're gonna be my bitch, even though I laid you off. That's all it is.
Well, I guess one of the things that this Harvard review said was the hypocrisy is that in judges in most states, Florida, you know, obviously is Florida,
Sure.
right? But is that those are the same companies that are actually doing the poaching. So the same companies that are strict on non-competes will take you to litigation are actually the same companies that are recruiting employees for their competitors. And it's public knowledge now. So that's what the article says is like I can go to LinkedIn and say this person worked for company A, then got poached and worked for company B.
That's right.
But company B is taking another employee to litigation for leaving to a competitor.
That's right.
Like it's the epitome of hypocrisy. And my thing is this: we celebrate free agency. We celebrate the ability. Free agency within collegiate athletes now. Which was crazy anyways.
Yeah,
They weren't allowed to transfer.
Nuts.
Like how is that even possible? But it's what is
Enslavement.
antiquated, right? Yeah. Now in 2022. You can I could sign an agreement with a college and go to another college.
Right.
Free agent. When your contract's up. Even if your contract's not up, you can negotiate with your current employer or your current team. And if you're a star, you can actually push your way out.
Yeah.
Right? And
Why is it not
we
like that in the
celebrate
workforce?
it in sports. And yet in corporate America, I don't know. This is a complete like...
No, I mean, we've been talking about work. I think it's very relevant.
It's just...
It's so crazy the fact that, again, we go back to, and, you know, not to bring, but it's a form of enslavement.
Right.
It's like for someone to tell you right now, if you were a warden at a prison, to say that, hey, bro, I think we need to rethink our prison system, they're going to think you're crazy.
Right.
It's the same thing with the workforce. Is there's so many companies out there that are just stuck in this like 100 years ago how it was,
When
Where-
you're 100% right.
where we weren't. We're not in the right situation where.
Well,
we
now
should
is
be.
where the employees need to actually step up. Like, for example, I would never, I'm telling you right now, never in my life again sign a non-compete.
Oh, it's the worst. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's not the worst, but it's something that is completely against all principle.
Mm-hmm.
And as a younger person growing up and or growing within corporate America,
That's right.
my attitude was always like to be like, very hesitantly optimistic and go into things and say, you know what, like I'm not gonna leave this job. Like I'm here. I'm gonna pour myself into it. There's no way I'm gonna go somewhere else.
And the company's gonna take care of me.
Right. And then things happen,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Company has different needs. You have different needs.
Right.
The market changes, comp changes, whatever, right? And you're forced. You imagine that. Imagine that you've been doing one thing for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, whatever it is, and all of a sudden, because you signed that agreement because you had to feed your family,
Yeah.
and you're looking for a decent job, and it looked like a good job, that you can't do it. You can't make a move. You can't stay in your industry.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, that's the weird thing, right?
Imagine telling an NBA player, sorry to interrupt, but imagine telling an NBA player, hey, we understand we understand that your contract's up,
Yeah.
but or you're leaving, for whatever
You're
reason.
going to Houston or Miami or whatever. Yeah.
But you got to go. But now you can't play basketball anymore.
Now you got to go play NFL. Yeah. Like what? But that's how it
That's
is,
the
though.
dumbest.
It's so
That's how it
stupid.
is.
That's how it is. Yeah. It's so crazy.
Florida needs to get their shit together.
Yeah. Well,
Because it's Florida that a lot of times it's called a blue pencil state, where the judges will look at the agreements and like based on the timelines and based on like what the verbiage of the non-compete is, they'll adjust it, but they'll keep it. And other states will throw that shit out.
Yeah. And, here's my thing, too, with that whole non-compete. The whole issue I see is, like, there's so much, like, one thing I love about a company called Minds, MINDS, is a social media platform like Facebook, but they actually share their algorithm for their entire platform with the general public. So, like, Google, they don't share any data. So, like, you can't, there's never going to be a company like Google.
Right.
Because Google has a certain algorithm they trademark and they don't share how they created this algorithm.
Right.
What Minds has done is created a Facebook that you can go on there and, it's free speech. That's what Elon's trying to do. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's what Elon's trying to do with Twitter, which is why he offered to buy it, is he wants to make it truly free speech. But Twitter won't share any IP information or any type of public knowledge. And I think a lot of companies are in that, like, no, it's the trademark, it's the copyright, it's this, it's that. It's like, dude, if we just make the workplace, companies, employees, if we make everyone happier, all humans are happier, traffic is a little less crazy, people kill less people, like, everything's better. If we just make it all better, like, we're on the same team. If we just make everything better, but we're so stuck
not that
in this,
easy, though.
right? Because
there's one
America,
person that you got to remember. Every company, any organization, period, right?
Yeah.
Has a leader.
Sure.
And if the leader is a bad apple,
Of course.
or the leader doesn't give a shit about
It
people,
trickles. Yeah.
how are they going to create a culture?
Yeah.
Many times investors come into companies and they're like, this guy's a joke. He came up with a good idea. Let's get him out of here. Let's buy him out, or let's, make sure he's not actually running. All the time.
All the time.
I work for a major corporate company where, I'll say it, Groupon was, the Mason was incredible. He was a CEO, founder. He was a good dude. But the profits weren't where they needed to be, right? Stock price wasn't where they needed. And so when they went public,
Board
they
toasted
pushed
him
him out.
Yeah.
But he was a good guy, and he was a good leader.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so what happens a lot of times is when these private companies go public, they push out good leadership.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't know
that
how you
happens a
fix
lot.
that.
Well, yeah, it's tough. I think we're just all, here's the issue I see in general, is we're just so, for whatever it is, maybe it's movies, maybe it's culture, maybe it's, because we stole land from the Indians, America just is always like, we have to be on top. Right?
Yeah.
Like, just as a whole, there's just something that's embedded in CEOs and entrepreneurs, like a vast majority of people, where they're like,
Capitalism.
This is where non-compete.
capitalism.
Kind of, But to me, I look at capitalism like you can have capitalism and also a little bit of communism, a little bit of socialism. Like it's possible to find a mix, but we're so like we have to
mean
be
like
number
Canada?
one. Well, Canada is a horrible example, but yeah,
Why?
kind of. Well, because free healthcare is stupid because you get the worst surgeons and you get the worst everything.
No, it's not.
Kind of. I mean, dude, a
mean-
lot of Canadians come to the U.S. when they have like major back surgery.
Sure, but you will.
But yeah, if you go for a common cold, free healthcare is great, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something to be said about the
But that's
best in the industry going to a place where they can
right.
capitalize.
But that's what I mean. There's got to be a
Right?
middle
Yeah,
ground.
yeah.
There's got to be a middle ground.
Yeah.
But we're so fixed on like we have to be number one. We have to. So when you have these like CEOs and these bigwigs that want to
Yeah.
clean house, they get rid of guys like Mason, even though he's a good dude and he makes money. But he's not hitting the best. He's
Right.
number 2 or number 3. So we got to get rid of him.
Squeeze out for profits. Yeah.
We got to get rid of him because you're number 2. You can't be silver. That's crazy.
Oh,
you
you're
gotta
talking about
win
like the
gold.
overall mentality.
Just overall, yeah. Like, yeah, Netflix is the fucking king.
But capitalism is the reason that we have that mentality.
Right. So that's what I mean is, do we really need that? Do we really need that, like, go get it, I need to be the best mentality? Can't we find, like, a notch below?
Yeah.
I think we all could agree, like, if you work out, in fact, there's a great article of this guy who worked out, literally, a guy who trained and worked out with weights.
Yeah.
He worked out so hard. He was 27 years old. I wish I could find the article. I'll try to repost it on in the description. But he actually worked out till he died.
Damn.
He was 27. Wasn't take testosterone
Yeah.
steroids. He was all natural, but he worked out every day for 2-3 hours a day.
Yeah.
And then he had a heart attack at 27.
He overdid it.
Because why? He
Yeah.
wanted to be the fucking rippedest, and he wanted
Yeah.
to look like fucking Zac Efron. And there's this like thing where we have to be the best. It's not always the best thing for us. Like, do we have to be the first one to land on the moon?
You ever been to Canada?
Yeah. Toronto.
You spent time there?
Yeah, like a week.
In and out?
Yeah, like a week.
Did you notice a culture difference?
For sure.
It's
It's different.
yeah. Well,
I mean, go to New York versus North Dakota.
yeah,
difference.
no, but I think like the United States culture is different than Canada. Like
Sure.
people in Canada, first of all, I was in Toronto and I love Toronto.
Shout out Canadians.
Yeah, I stayed there for 2 weeks and I loved it.
Hey.
But the cultural difference, I always say, is like, I think it has something to do with the taxes. Like, because the more money you make, obviously, the more you're taxed. And they all pay the same, obviously sales tax and all that. That's not that too different in the United States. But it almost creates a less competitive
Right.
environment
Sure.
and less competitive in some cases from a cultural standpoint
Right.
is almost, and this doesn't make any sense, but it's almost a good thing. Like,
Yeah.
but there's a balance, right? Like,
Right.
so you don't get the best. So as you said, the best in the industry are gonna come to the United States because they want to
Right.
be able to capitalize.
Sure.
But the culture difference, you can't. I don't know how you balance both. And again,
Yeah.
I mean, you and I are not smart enough to figure this out.
No.
But
I think there's something to be said about that where, and again, a lot of the stuff I was saying was everyone in the country.
is this boring, by the way? You think?
Not at all.
Okay.
I think it's fantastic.
Okay.
This is probably the last 2 minutes have been the most interesting.
Politics and fucking.
Well, no. I just mean like in general, here's a great example. You ever been to California?
Yes.
They pay the most taxes. Everything is the most expensive. And if you go to California, everybody's miserable.
I mean,
Hold on. Let me rephrase. If you're not if you're not wealthy,
yeah.
you're miserable. If you go to like a poor part in Florida or a poor part in like Tennessee, they're relatively happy. They got their family, they got their land, they're good. When you go to California, the reason why California and New York are the worst when it comes to like the homeless population, overall just the price and living of everything,
Right.
is because everyone wants to be the best and they want to be there because it's Hollywood and it's California and or New York, same thing. Where you're in the state of states. You're in the capital of the country. Like this is the flagship of the country. It's supposed to be the best.
Yeah.
But tell me how those two states have the biggest homeless population and the most depression aside from Seattle because it rains all the time. But aside from that, so being the best doesn't always mean you're going to live in the best environment. And that's my point is I guarantee you talk to every Canadian, I guarantee 99.9% of them are extremely happy versus if you grab someone in the US and you ask them if they're happy with their daily life.
Right.
I think Canadians are more happy. And I don't mean that we should all be socialists. I just mean there's got to be a middle ground to where if I'm in the government and I look at this and I'm like, capitalism is great, socialism is bullshit. Where can we find
your politics? You know what? Your politics is weird. Because it
doesn't make any sense.
No, it's common sense.
It's not red or blue.
No,
yeah, that's right.
We need another drink.
I know. Well, should we call it quits or should we get another drink and keep cranking?
We're gonna have to wrap it up, dude.
It's 5:30. We gotta cook some pie.
Let's do it.
But anyway, I mean, this was good.
It was good. Hey, there's a takeover.
Oh shit! Are you guys gonna come take over now?
We're just closing it out.
Oh,
Perfect timing.
you look
Yeah.
toasty.
Yeah, we are
it is.
toasty.
I was just saying that. I said we needed a cooler here, and he was like, "Yeah, it is a little hot in here." Come here, baby.
Jessica, you
Come
want to be
here.
on camera?
She wants to make an appearance.
And 4 minutes.
Hey,
Hey, babe.
Brenda's used to it.
Yeah, she likes it.
Tony's gonna edit that
do you have it?
out.
Well, this hour conversation at Rich's at, it's taking a downspin right now.
We're done.
Well, because I can't hear you. Jessica, come over here so I can hear you. Grab this mic.
Come on, babers. Come grab this mic.
this mic.
Come grab this mic,
Grab this mic real
babers.
quick. Jessica, I'll
Come-
cut you out of the equation.
come
Okay,
on.
babe, say hi.
Come
Hi.
sing to the mic, babers.
Do you guys know that Jessica has never been on a podcast before?
No. What's the name of your duet song that we're gonna do? I'm out. I gotta pee.
Good call.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, please thank Richie Patterson for being on the show, ladies and gentlemen.
What up?
Press that little applause button. You'll see it right there. Richie Patterson, ladies and gentlemen. Very good. Yeah, thank you. Okay, okay. All right, that's enough. Stop it. Okay, that's good. Okay, enough. Say goodbye, Richie.
Goodbye, Richie.
Shout out vibesmiami.com, by the way. Check out that hat. Oh, shit. Go closer to camera. Camera's right there. Give me a little swag. Damn. Vibesmiami.com. You could check out Richie on social media. I'll leave his links. But this was fun. I hope you had as much fun as we did. We'll see you later. Peace.